Hello and welcome to the vlog for Dragon Age Ascension, episode 1.
Yes,
Yeah,
session 1.
yeah.
You did it!
Yes. For those of you who don't know what this is, so this is optional, I would say, because it's all 100% out of character. So I always ask the players if they're interested in doing a vlog of whatever happened in their session that we just played. So we just finished session 1. It's sort of an opportunity to ask like behind the scene questions of me, for me to ask behind the scenes question for them, maybe if they have questions for each other, or if they have predictions of what's going to happen next, or if there's something that happened in the session today that they're like, I have some speculations about this, or what have you, or anyway. So hopefully this is something that's like a little fun discussion that we can talk about. But I wanted to start with, since he can only join us for the first part, I wanted to start with Sam and see, Sam, did you have any questions or thoughts or musings about anything about this session?
Oh man. You set up all of the animosity between Russo and Darethim perfectly, and he's even got a brother to keep him on the straight and narrow. So even if Russo were to make friends with Darethim, maybe sometime in the future, I don't know, some rogue guy will come to a stab and be like, "But why, brother? Why?"
Why, brother? Why?
Yeah.
We spit and everything.
I didn't. It's interesting that you said it's. I like what you did to set up the animosity. I didn't set it up. Like I was not when I made that scene. I didn't necessarily think there was going to be like animosity built specifically between Rousseau and Darethim. I knew Darethim was going to be an antagonist in that scene, but him actually like casting that spell finally to hit the mom was actually a key pivoting moment. I would agree. Yes.
I can just say from my perspective, like being a GM who loves drama and dark stories, as soon as you said, "Hey, the mom's in the combat," I was just like, "Oh, I'm a killer. I'm gonna do everything I can to kill her personally." And then in that final thing, I was just like, "She was hurt, but she seemed to be okay. I need to do the most damage possible, but it's really hard to succeed." And then finally, I succeeded. So
Yeah.
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 that was the dice gods being thankful and being nice.
I will mention for that spell, since I'm technically the creator, even though I had some help from the idea. Most was Dominic. I just created the idea, or like the mechanics of it. It's a powerful spell against first levels, but it's supposed to be like at the later level game. It's not supposed to be dropped on like a people who have like less than 20-ish HP or whatever.
Yeah.
So
It's like level 14 kind of shit.
yeah.
And,
So for people who might like go, oh, but it's a broken spell. It's like, yes, but that's only for like Darrington's not even gonna get that in the beginning. That's like level 10. So just
like,
so, like,
read Inferno also, the other
yeah,
spells that are in here. Like they're pretty OP.
yeah. So yeah, so that's just like we will still like to probably we needed some modifications, of course, depending on what Hark wants for the stuff. So, but yeah,
But I think that in terms of establishing a really gripping story,
it was a
it
good
was a good use for it.
yeah,
So
it was a cool use. Yeah, I will agree to that.
going, I guess, piggybacking off of that, Urzaban, Tommy, how do you feel about that?
I'm not gonna lie, I had a slight suspicion that the scene was gonna turn more that way as soon as you sent me the message being like, "Oh yeah, your childhood, you're now in Kirkwall." In Kirkwall.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see exactly how much that changes like what we roleplay for the latter half of the origin stories.
Yeah.
Because Russo's mom was basically going to be the motivator for a lot of things in the second half of that. Now that's kind of changed. And I feel like that was the moment that Russo really needed, because I intentionally played him a bit more subdued to simply be like he's used to just kind of like being in his brother's shadow or trying to just stay on his brother's good side.
Yeah.
So I feel that was the awakening he needed to like really be like, no, you have to push forward in your life.
You could even say Russo ascended into
Oh, yes, you
right.
could say that. Yes.
Nice pun. That was great.
I did not go into today's session planning for Lyria to die. That really, honestly, was not my vision. But the way it played out, I was like, it actually worked out in a way that I think is going to be a really good opportunities for role playing. So in the future,
I can't wait for Russo to like meet Daretham and then be like, "You killed my mom," and then Daretham going, "Oh, I did? Oh, here's your dagger. Kill me right now." And I'll probably be like, "Wait, what?"
going back to Sam, I really loved the dynamic between Tyrion and Leon, because Tyrion he's a slave and he's in this situation that might be difficult of a concept for a young child to grasp. So, I mean, people were putting in the comments, and that's when Leon learns about slavery. And I'm like, well, yeah, that is, how he starts learning about slavery. And so he's lived in a forest for most of his life. So he was very like secluded and isolated. So what were your thoughts on young Leon, like seeing firsthand his first elf and then seeing the scars and wounds on his body as a 7-year-old child, and seeing that through the eyes of a 7-year-old child?
I guess it would be pretty harsh reality, because he's been very very sheltered. His parents love him. He's just been getting scrapes and bruises, but not anything like abuse in that regard. And I expect that it would make him very uncomfortable around the master guy. Knowing that someone could do that, and then maybe it could happen to Leon himself. So he's not very happy towards the master guy, and then that'll make him probably ask a few questions to his parents after things calm down a bit, and then from there, there's also questions in the arcane lance. He's just not very comfortable with the idea of someone being attacked for what they are, I guess, or doesn't quite understand the concept at all.
What are your thoughts on Leon knowing that this man, this master, who seems to treat Tyrion in a certain way, has associations with your dad?
It'd probably shatter a few concepts about his dad, because his dad's been very, laid back, very Keely, very, caring towards a lot of things, and towards a 7-year-old child, that dichotomy between caring and cruelty is very hard to grasp, especially since it's hard to say that what's black and white and what's gray. So it's going to be a tough concept to grapple with.
I just want to say that, I mean, we all know it, but leaves is the best meme ever.
Leaves.
The power of leaves.
The power of
And then
chlorophyll.
I'm keeping that leaf, that's for sure.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sure you can dry it, press it against.
Put it into a book, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just from now on, whenever Leon does magic that's not blood magic, it's just green colored. All the
Yeah. It's always
And it
green.
has the smell of a torn leaf.
Yeah, maybe you should stop considering blood magic and go into botany instead. I don't know.
I mean, we're going for that creation magic, just...
You can be Albion. You can be.
It's Albion. It's fantasy Albion.
Yes, fantasy Albion. I mean, and then when you do the crossover, you have some common ground. When you guys cross over.
Hey.
There you go.
There we go.
We'll have to leaf that for another time.
Nice.
Again,
Nice.
the puns today. Holy crap.
Yes. Well, I'm glad we're planting the seed for that now.
Oh, for
Hey, nice.
I gotta leave this. No. Nope. Enough.
Hey, listen, Skull, drink some water. You gotta stay hydrated.
Yes.
I was worried at first when I was first introduced. I was like somewhat like worried, how am I gonna play this out with Tyrion? And then like it actually ramped up a bit, quite to the point where I was like, yeah, this is what I feel like Tyrion should go through. And I did my best to act out as a scared up child.
Yeah.
That was, ooh,
That
roleplay
scene. Yeah,
That was excellent.
That was important because I needed to establish what is your relationship like with this man.
Yeah.
And I think it was easier to expose that when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Because you are more vulnerable. It's harder for you to lash out, you know.
When you're
and
older,
it shows a clear difference between like a practiced slave who's used to it, like in Dertham,
Right,
Ancient of Winter, versus
young
Tyrion.
slave. Yeah, and that really kind of it sent some chills down my spine. I almost actually tears kind of went down almost because of I tried to play as the child is crying and just no please
Yeah.
no. Yes. It's like the obedience meter was quite high over there, and it's established there, and I loved that. And when Leon came to the show, that was like, oh, that's his. Yep, there you go. Bring the two doctors together, and we're gonna see how this goes. And it was intriguing. It was actually cool. I did like the conversation with Leon and like the different kind of ideas. And it seems to Tyrion, what makes this for him special is this is the second, I guess, time where he actually someone was benevolent to him. Someone cared a bit for him, even though they never met each other, which really was a powerful moment, I'd say. So
I don't know if the viewers or players caught this, but I purposely was adding a lot of parallels to the term "good boy." Like, are you a good boy, Tyrion? Are you a good boy, Leon? Are you being a good boy, Russo, by stealing this necklace? So I was that was sort of something that I kind of sprinkled in.
I caught that. And that was really cool.
That was that's that moment. I was like, that is a lot of foreshadowing happening, my good sir.
Yeah,
that was some great foreshadowing.
I do have a quick question, I guess, for this session, next session. So from what it seems like on my DM census, it seems like the this session was mostly the first like 2/3 of the origin stories, and the next session is going to be like the last adult third, if you will.
Yeah, your origin stories will continue in the next session. So because what happened was I had intended for all of your origin stories to be completed in session 1, which is I normally do. However, we had a lot of what I'm calling session 0 stuff at the beginning, which took up a lot of time. And honestly, I just really wanted to just focus more on character development while you guys were younger. Because I think for this campaign more than others, that's really important. And so I'm actually like slowing things down a little bit with your campaign, especially because there's 5 of you. And when there's 5 of you, I want to make sure that there is time to really introduce not only your characters, but also the NPCs. You know, we got, I didn't originally have Salit to have more of a role than he actually did. He actually had a pretty decent role in this one. Bomb, I was able to have some really cool stuff scenes with.
Please, Art, please tell me that Bomb is going to be an awakened ogre in one of the NPCs. Please.
Can't speak to that yet. So, but I mean, if any of the viewers think that'll be interesting, you might want to put a comment and say, "Yeah, we want to see." We might want.
Everybody comment. We want Bomb. We want Bomb.
Bring the ogre mustache. We need him. that art was amazing. That was a fucking great art.
Have Bomb.
Hashtag save the blue mustache.
Save the blue mustache.
But yeah, I'm actually pleased. I think with how Bomb and Salit both. I wasn't really sure how they would be received, but it seems like you guys like them, so I think that's cool.
I also do like Amarin from my story, from my NPC, just like the way how he's seen as a very hostile person, and this kind of sets up as a person who might be of interest. So that was like congratulating on that, man. Pretty good. really gave me the chills. I will actually kind of say, there was a part of me where I thought about going with Delwyn actually at the end there.
Yeah.
But I went. But here's what I went. I went to the theory of going. All right. One, I don't want to really ruin Tyrion's most of the backstory, but also, I don't see him automatically going with Delwyn because if he leaves, he knows there will be problems there.
Yeah.
So he had to, even though he doesn't like it at all, and people will probably question like why you didn't leave with Delwyn. It's for the reason is he's still underage and needs to kind of train a bit.
Mhm.
So he'll. Yeah, so.
Well, Delwyn also had to skedaddle too because he's not, unlike the other 3 heroes of Ferelden, he's still an apostate mage, and yes, he was granted some liberties, mostly because he is dating Gwenaël, who is now the High Enchanter, the Grand Enchanter. Oh, he will be the Grand Enchanter in
by the time
season 3.
we do our thing.
So, but like not everybody agrees with the special treatment that Delwyn is having because he is a blood mage technically too, and so
Former,
so if you had offered to like go with him, Delwyn would probably have been like, you're not safe with me either. Like
yeah. So I think I did the right choice. So.
And it was also the strong choice. So.
Yeah. A strong choice. Yeah, it does show a bit more. Yeah, yeah.
I was very intrigued by the child in Dertham's backstory, also named Tyrion. I want to know where that's going. I want to know what that was.
My thoughts. Yeah, my thoughts could be like maybe a descendant, like he's a descendant, and like maybe at some point his parents gave him the name Tyrion. Either it's random or maybe there's a reason.
But what if timey wimey? What if?
And I mean, maybe. Kind of, because you do have the time spell that would be created a bit later on by was it Nathan's ancestor, or was it Justine?
Nathan's. I think it was Nathan's. Yeah, Nathan's ancestor. Justine. No, was it Justine? What was the pestilence demon would eventually?
I believe Justine just like shifted certain events so they could play out how he wanted them to. So I mean, theoretically, maybe.
And then I'd be like, hey, so I also kind of sold your dad to a mass blood magic sacrifice.
Ooh, I had one question about that I don't want to answer to, but was that the ritual that started the blights? Like, I legitimately don't want the answer to it, but and remember what?
Does anyone have guesses to that? Do they think Tommy has onto something, or do you think it's something else?
What, the one with the ritual in the beginning, the Tevinter Imperium?
Yeah, back in like ancient Tevinter when they're gathering all the people.
Possible from Derriton's information it's a possibility, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna say anything. I have my theories.
And I have my facts.
Hey.
Dominic is really the one who knows everything, so he was around that time.
I was trying to set up the scenes so that half of you were in a very pivotal moment in season 1, and the other half were in a very pivotal moment in season 2, just so there was that like connection.
We saw the breach and we saw the final battle of the blight.
I will say that the season 1 guys did have, I'd say, a more powerful moment in that area, I think, than in the season 2 timeline, I'd say, personally.
Well, when another PC shows up and kills your mom, it's kind of hard not to be powerful.
Hi!
There were also, to be fair, there were also more PCs in that one too.
Yeah, it was 3 versus 2.
So there were 3.
And there was just more combat and such like that. But at the same time, I think that while that was maybe the more like big event dramatic thing, at the same time what happened in Tyrion and Leon I think is a lot more personal to their characters and kind of jumpstarts that growth that they'll both have.
And I think that compared to what was going on in the Dragon Age, the season 1 scene, the season 2 scene like just the development of that friendship, it seems like, between the two characters, I think is deeper than Pasha and Russo right now.
Yeah.
Or even Russo and Darethim, in the sense that they're like now rivals, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like enemies at the moment.
Yeah, me and Leon have bonded together so much more.
I really did like the scene at the end though, where I like gave in to Corin being like, "Yes, we will kill this Darkspawn."
Yeah.
I can't wait for like Russo to potentially like Daretham, and then they're friends, and then Corin shows up, and then Russo's just like, shit.
Because honestly, I feel like, would Daretham even remember that? Would he even remember the kids, or
like? From what this is more just theory, because it's kind of like up to you more, Hark, with how this works. But my basic thoughts was that he doesn't remember everything, but for some reason he remembers the count, like the number of people he's killed. And he also has specific events in like a flashback moment. So that's why he remembered the death of his family when he killed them. So that could be a thing where you say, like, at this time when you see Russo or whatever, you get this new flashback of this new murder that you did. You put a face on the number, something
or
like that.
Or do you?
But that's up to you. That's just up to you.
So Sam, Leon casts magic for the first time.
Yeah.
What do you think is going through his head internally with that? Is it more like super excited?
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
He's seen, like maybe a little bit here and there from his parents doing like minor things like healing wounds or something like that. And then he's now got some magic and he's like, ooh, and he used it to save someone's life, which is really big. This is like a big moment in a child's psyche. So
yeah, you're helpful. You're a good healer. Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah. It'd be nice, and then that's more questions that he can ask his parents. Why was he able to do it then, and then does he still have that connection now that the Fade is a little further away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can we not have like the official battleground for our party now? Just the awoo, like
yeah.
We just have the official battleground.
Oh, by the way, so are we getting some Isabella action, or is someone else stealing the book this time? I'm curious about that.
Yeah. I didn't specify who stole that book, so
I'm quite aware of that omission of information.
Here's a new question to Hark now, but this is like not from even me. This is actually from you, Hark, to us. How did you feel about this game? Like us playing? Did we do anything that you might, want some improvements? Anything that caught your eye? GM to player, essentially. Players, actually.
Yeah, I mean it's early, and as I said, we did a little less than I normally wanted to do for a session 1, just because we were jamming session 0 and session 1 in the first session. So I think you all just in general are just trying to feel out your characters and are figuring out your characters, because it's one thing to have your character figured out on paper, it's another thing to actually role play them. And quite often, I'm sure all of you probably know this, what ends up happening at the table might be a little different from how you conceptualized it originally. So I think that in general you guys are still figuring things out, and so I think by session 3 you probably will. It's like breaking in new shoes. Like
breaking the ice a little tough at first, then once you're through.
And I'll actually be a little behind that, because the actual character I built doesn't even exist yet. Because it was pre-Blight Daretham. Then I did just me being an evil GM, and then
yeah, because there's a challenge that you guys right now aren't playing the characters that you will be playing, because you're younger versions of yourselves. And so I know that's harder, because your younger versions are probably still slightly different people, maybe, than when they're older, especially the kids, especially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like you take Russo, Dartham, and like everyone, they're like age essentially like 7 to 10 right now where we did the flashback. You forward that, you've grown and changed quite a bit from that point.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm excited to get to session 2, because that will wrap up your origin stories, and then things will really like kick into high gear. Hopefully in a good way, in a fun way.
Will it be possibly origin story then meet up with all the players, or is it just going to be like the final part of the origin story, do you think?
The plan is for all of you to be together by the end of session 2, hopefully, is my, depending on how the role-playing
So kind of
pans out.
stretch like what normally was, say, Dragon Age Season 1 at the very end into 2 sessions.
Into 2 sessions, yes.
Okay.
Because I think you guys need it, because there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of, for those of you, Jim, you understand. There's a lot of chess pieces I need to set up.
Yeah, I mean, you just did character development session for this. This game was mostly character development. We had a bit of like some small fighting, but that also just improved that like storyline and even changed a bit of stuff. So
yeah,
there we go.
Right, exactly.
I love that like the first major scene is we see Ancient Inventor and young Dartham when he's not in a good place, but in a decent place, and he's doing his thing. And then the next time we see him like conscious, it's gonna be in his completely broken state.
Yeah. I thought that was important because I think that we need to know, you as a player needs to know your character's history. And again, you wrote a lot of this down in your backstory, but I think you actually have to live it. You have to actually go through major scenes so that when you do awaken, you have something to pull from. So,
like Dartham was a lot more like law-abiding and stoic than I kind of expected him to be. And the interactions with Baum were subdued.
That is the main purpose of the origin stories, is I want to establish your history and know where you came from and understand where you came from and your relationship. It's hard to be like, oh, you're friends with this person, you're good friends with this person, but didn't have a scene with them back in the day. Like, I kind of want to see, because I wasn't sure what sort of relationship Salit and Pasha had. I know that they were comrades, but I didn't know, did they banter with each other and joke around? Is it more like we're just business all the time?
Yeah.
Like, how playful are they? And I like the relationship between the two of them.
Yes.
It's actually, I do like Salit in terms of like the NPC who just goes around like very nonchalant joking around stuff.
Yeah.
So much sex ed.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not what you would think of as a Kunari, a Kunari, but it's part of his job. His job is to blend in and deceive people, and sometimes he has to do things that are not, typical of a Kunari person, but
questionable. Yeah. Especially the part where they were just telling kids how sex education works out.
I hope one of the parts, like one of the broken up parts in session 1, is like sex education. Like, that's the title.
When a mommy and daddy love each other very much.
And if people are wondering, I will not be making a video on the sex education stuff because that's not my job.
No.
My job is to teach people how to play the game, not how educate sex education works.
Hey, that's one of the best games to play. I mean,
oh gosh. Okay. On that note, yes.
Just like a bit of a last thing like to mention, but maybe also the viewers and also to all you guys, because I've taught a bit on like the rules and stuff mechanical wise. I hope I wasn't much annoying. I was more trying to assist in some things that weren't like maybe mistaken. So
no, I think you guys did a great job, like giving everyone their moment, taking turns. Like if more than one person spoke at the same time, you were very good about, you go first. Like, no, you guys were great. You guys are doing really well. With that.
Yeah, I am going to do my best to continue like not focus on what's going on in terms of what we got mistaken, shit like that, because we're still trying to focus on the story than whatever the game's going on. So yeah, I'm letting you GM the stuff. I'm just the guy who's here like, I am the rules man. I'm just thinking me as a book. Open me up.
I am a human book.
Would
There's so much
Pasha
I can
kept the
remember.
trinket that I left for my mother?
She left it with your
Okay.
mother.
I didn't know for sure because you said you did move her hands and stuff.
Here's a
Like she
Okay.
probably would have like returned the hands to the position
Mhm.
left it. She might have even like secured the necklace to her in some just so that like it wouldn't like if they picked up the body it wouldn't like fall off.
Right.
So we're not actually going to be able to play out what you end up doing with your mother Russo. So I'm just curious. Do you so the traditional? I don't know how it is with your family, but at least traditionally with the Chantry religion, the Maker Chantry religion, they burn all their dead. So I don't know if you would do the same thing, and if you do you keep the necklace? Do you not keep the necklace? Like,
I feel like Russo would have left the necklace with his mother for like all eternity, simply because it would have been more like at least I got to give you the grand gesture that we borderline almost got arrested for.
so you would have burned it with the body? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I would have.
Or it
I
would have
would have
been
wanted to
damaged.
just stay with her for
Okay.
all eternity is like my last thread to her.
Okay. Maybe you would have like buried the ashes along with the remains of the amulet, something like that. Okay, so just so I know if you kept it or not. Okay, cool. Would Pasha be involved with these children now that they're orphaned, or does she feel like that's not her place, like that's not her problem? You know, I did what I was supposed to do. I gave their mother, the piece of a quick death, and I'm done. I'm detached. Like, what would Pasha do?
So she'd probably involve herself in their lives for as long as she was in Kirkwall, but at the end of the day, she will have to go back to Parvol and Saharon, and I do think she would consider maybe I could bring them back with me and
Try to
there.
So
But at the same time, I think she'd kind of like they're old enough, especially Corin. Like I doubt he'd want to leave. And I'm not about to be like, I'm taking this one, goodbye.
Right.
So, children, have you heard about the good word of the Qun?
Cune.
The Gatla Qun.
But obviously, not to mention that Corin does have a darkspawn to murder, so
that's true.
There's that problem.
Yeah. He does have a goal. Yes, a life goal. Mm-hmm.
So this is encouraging then to both Pasha and then Tommy, Pasha, Russo, and even Newhark. So will the backstory kind of change a bit with now Pasha being as like a babysitter for a bit, quote unquote?
Oh yeah, I think so. If that's okay with Tommy, if Tommy thinks that would happen, I think that I think Corin would end up liking Pasha because of what she did for them. Like she was there to help get this amulet for their mother, and I'm sure Corin respects that. So I think he would appreciate Pasha kind of substituting sort of until they are old enough to essentially be on their own, because I do see that eventually they will be on their own, and Pasha, you will probably stay in Kirkwall maybe for another year, because I think in Dragon Age Season 2 they actually stayed for a few years. I think
they stayed for like 7.
Yeah, they stayed for a while.
It was like 9 years total, and then it was like 6 or some odd of those.
So honestly, at the end of the day, I will leave it up to you both, Tommy and Callista, to decide how long, like how close of a relationship did you guys end up having. So by the time you've left, because it doesn't matter to me if Pasha was there for a year or if she was still there for like another 5 years. It doesn't matter to me. You decide what your relationship is like when you finally part ways, because that I'm sure will be important when you reunite again. Mm-hmm. So figure that out. You don't have to decide that now, but I think that'll be interesting, and that might obviously you might have to tweak your backstory a little bit, but I think it'll be interesting no matter what you decide. So
yeah, I agree. That would be like a thing for me and Callista to have like a very small private conversation about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Like, do you consider her as sort of like a stepmom, like
Like a big
substitute
sister
mom,
or something like
or
that?
a big sister? I don't know. Like, what is your relationship like? So
Yeah.
That's better that they do their own like private conversations or like decide what they want to do. So
yeah. Anything else?
I'm excited to actually talk a little bit, like role play a little bit more next session.
yeah.
Most of mine was just evil cackling.
Yeah,
it
or
would-
moping.
Or moping.
Yes.
I will still say like congrats Hark on the NPCs you kind of handed out.
Yes.
There are some good NPCs. I love them.
I'm curious which one was your favorite so far. I'm just curious.
Me,
The
just
master.
me.
Yeah.
It's between two. It's between the master and Balm.
Oh yes. Mhm.
And also Satil was also pretty good. Like all of them were good in their own ways. The master was just like the chilling presence of evil, like over me. Balm was just like the kind of neutral ground of, yeah, we can solve this, but it will take some time and it might be risky. That kind of risk, man, especially in the end where he comes in as an ogre and saves Terran's
Yeah.
ass. And Satil, the elf, just
Salit,
the
yes.
elf canary. Salit, sorry, I mix up the name up. It's just the way he kind of was. He was like the comedic character NPC in this
Yeah.
show. All three were good. I just don't have a favorite.
Yeah,
So-
very different. Thank you. I try to have a
So-
variety.
Oh man, congrats,
NPCs.
congrats.
Thank you. How about the rest of you guys? Who was your favorite NPC so far?
I liked Corin. I liked that.
Yes.
It was how he introduced himself by, you know, leaping with the blood dripping down, and then comparing that with his mother later. With those same,
Yes, with the black corners.
That was
Yeah.
actually a very ironic,
Foreshadowing.
like, come full circle when she said, "No, you don't want to be Grey Wardens. They're horrible. Don't joke about the dark spot."
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. How about you, Dominic?
Well, initially I was gonna say the master, but Corin is also real up there because
Yeah.
I love creepy characters. I really do. I love playing them. I love seeing them. I love everything about them. Like in Mass Effect Season 1, I forget the name, but the serial killer, Simon, right?
Oh, Simon, yeah.
Simon.
jeez.
Oh.
Simon was my favorite moment in all.
Oh.
No, it was my favorite moment in all of your games.
Oh, I love that actually. It was such a creepy session.
Simon was.
Yes.
I in fact think I used Simon
Good.
as inspiration for my own serial killer murderer in a game I had running at the time. But anyway.
It warms my heart that you took my serial killer. Good.
Yeah, the basic inspiration, a few of the shots and like the descriptions and such. But anyway, I love Corin too, because I really do love a good like dedicated character to a driven character, especially for one who is going down a dark path. So those two I'd say have to be equal in terms of my favorites.
I'd say my favorite was probably Tyrion's master, simply because he hit like all the different shades of like almost being bipolar and how he interacted with Tyrion. Where at first he's like, "Oh, I own you." Listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that moment when like he just stares at me, like I just had the moment where I just had to look at the camera going, like I tried to like widen my mouth for it to be like, oh shit.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for a wonderful session 1.
Thank you
This is
for
the
thank you for
doing
beginning.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Hey.